Breaking now at 6, a summer swelter under smoky skies.
It is dangerous and toxic.
What you need to know right now under our KGW Weather Impact Alert. Plus.
And I'm happy that we were able to come to a compromise.
The decision that just saved dozens of city positions, some call critical.
Then, the last-minute push to change county commissioners' minds about millions set aside for Moda.
It just seems like a big misuse of county dollars.
And new at 6, what one of Oregon's biggest business leaders is asking Tom Dundon and politicians to consider when it comes to securing the future of the franchise.
I think it'd be incredibly disappointing. I think once they were gone, people would realize, we made a mistake.
Breaking here at 6, thunderstorms, temperatures in the 90s, and smoke from wildfires. This is drone video that we recorded this morning on another hot, hazy, and uncomfortable day.
You might call it miserable. Here's what it looks like now across the Portland metro as winds gust, lightning fires up, and things thankfully start to cool off. A reminder, if you're outdoors and you hear thunder, seek shelter immediately.
Absolutely. We have live team coverage of our KGW Weather Impact Alert, starting with meteorologist Joe Ranieri, who is tracking those storms right now. Joe, what is the latest?
Well, the latest you can see behind me, we got a cluster of thunderstorms moving in through parts of Yamhill and Washington County. This has been the scene since I'd say about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock this afternoon. Lightning strikes, a little bit of some light precipitation. That's the one thing we were hoping to get out of this system, and it's not going to happen. It's just the air is just too warm. You can see over in Scappoose, you're dry for right now, but there's a good chance these thunderstorms kind of linger into the later part of the evening, potentially into the overnight hours. You can just see that one flash. This is over Longview. The flashes of blues that you might be seeing are the lightning strikes that are happening right now. And you go over to the central and eastern side of the state, yeah, it's been very active. Red flag warning is in place throughout parts of Deschutes County. The concern about these dry lightning strikes is it could be starting more wildfires, similar to what we saw about a week ago. And I think we were reporting close to 70, 80 wildfires have broken out in the last week because of those thunderstorms. As we go into the next couple of days, those thunderstorms will start to back off a little bit. The one thing that will help us will be a little bit of an onshore flow. That will help us on the west side of the state. As you see tomorrow morning and into Friday morning, a little bit of some light precipitation, but what we need is some heavy downpours to help the east side of the state, and that's not going to happen anytime soon. I'll talk more about your detailed forecast in a few minutes from now.
Okay, thank you, Joe. And speaking of those thunderstorms and the heat, of course, a reminder, a cooling center in Northwest Portland is open until 9 o'clock tonight. We are talking about Bud Clark Commons. Also, all open libraries are offering water, electrolytes, cooling towels, but also a heads up, most of those close in about 2 hours or so. Cooling resources, though, at parks are available 24/7, so don't forget about those. Plus, TriMet is waiving fares for people traveling to or from a cooling center until 11 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, good time to check on family members and neighbors, right? Team coverage of our Weather Impact Alert continues with a look at how some folks are trying to stay cool.
Harley Coldiron has more from Waterfront Park.
Hey there, on these sweltering summer days where temperatures tip into the high 80s and 90s, Portland Parks recommends one of their over 30 fountains and splash pads. It's a free, fun way to beat the heat.
Meet Carla and her family. They're visiting from Seattle and keeping cool by hanging out at Tom McCall Waterfront Park.
It's hot and he loves to play with the water.
Her son Uriel is one of many across the city enjoying Portland Park's splash pads and fountains.
He immediately jump in the water.
Plus, Carla couldn't believe how clean they kept the area.
Nice to have something the kid can enjoy and be safe.
These convenient and citywide splash pads are open daily 11 to 7 through Labor Day. Portland's public pools are excellent recreation areas, but the city says they shouldn't be considered a place to stay cool as they reach capacity and fast. But the city is also planting or handing out 10,000 trees a year. It's to increase their canopy for neighborhoods that need it most.
Drink a lot of water, take breaks when you need to. It's very much like, hey, you feel bad, nobody gets on you for taking a break, finding shade.
And for Adam Hill, a lifelong resident who works landscaping,
some areas that are a little hotter, and you really notice it.
He says it makes all the difference.
Oh, it's 5 degrees easy.
Harley Coldiron, KGW News.
And stay with KGW for our Weather Impact Alert. Tracking the heat, the smoke, and the haze. You can find your latest forecast anytime on our free TV streaming app. That is KGW Plus, on our KGW mobile app, or at kgw.com.
In your headlines, the man police say crashed into a southeast Portland paint store, then broke into a nearby home, appeared in court today. Investigators say this is video of 55-year-old John Graff driving his car right into the store late yesterday afternoon before he took off and left a loaded gun in a nearby mailbox. Then officers say a man living on Southeast 97th Avenue called police after finding someone inside his home. They say they found Graff hiding in the basement and arrested him.
I saw that the police were responding to something, and I wasn't sure what was going on. The Portland Police, Multnomah County Sheriffs, and some other agencies were responding to something.
This could have ended much differently. People could have been hurt inside the business the car went into. The man inside the home could have been harmed. Nobody was badly hurt in this.
Yeah, glad everyone was okay. Graff pleaded not guilty to DUII and felon in possession of a firearm. He is due back in court July 30th.
In Hillsborough, police are searching for a suspect or suspects after someone stole dozens of bronze vases from graves at Furlong Cemetery. The cemetery says about 80 were taken from the final resting places of loved ones. Staff are now contacting families affected. Police ask anyone with information to please come forward.
And a jury has found Nike liable in a sex discrimination lawsuit brought by a former employee. After a 6-day trial, jurors ruled in favor of Heather Hender on all counts, finding Nike willfully violated the Federal Equal Pay Act. The jury awarded Hender more than $7.5 million in punitive damages, plus nearly $20,000 in back pay. Nike has not commented on the verdict.
To the future of Moda now, with the Trailblazers considering the city's opening offer and new uncertainty over the county's contribution to renovate Oregon's aging arena. Remember, we need the state, the city, and the county. And this evening, there are growing concerns, including from Tim Boyle, the chairman and CEO of one of Oregon's most iconic companies, Columbia Sportswear, over whether a deal to keep the team here for decades is still possible. I sat down with Boyle on Tuesday and started by asking him what he'd like to see right now from Blazers owner Tom Dundon.
This is a community that requires, I don't want to say hand-holding, but you need to love this community if you're going to be here to have a big investment. And clearly, it's a big investment for almost any way you measure it. And I think Portlanders need to know that you're invested not only financially, but personally, and that you care about the city, you care about the state, and you want to make sure that it all works together to the common good.
Have you seen that to any degree from him?
Well, you know, I don't know Tom very well. I've talked to him on the phone a few times, but people don't get that vibe from him. I think people need to say, geez, this guy knows Portland, he gets it, he wants to invest here, we're behind him.
Would you call him and tell him that?
Yeah, I would.
What's your impression of the mayor's leadership and how he's dealt with this whole process?
I think the mayor can be very vocal and can be an important advocate for the Blazers staying here. And as I understand it, he feels strongly that the Blazers should be here. It'd be great to have even a greater voice from him and from the governor and frankly from the city councilors. Some have called the Moda Center without the Blazers Wapato, you know, the prison that we built that was never occupied. And this is going to be a problem if we don't have a high quality tenant in that building. I'd like the city to be contributing, and I'd like the county to make their contribution. And frankly, based on the current tax rates, it's not really a challenge financially for those things to happen. The investment that the community's making in the Blazers is not something that you could put in an equation and, you know, a financial statement that says we're going to earn this much money off it. But it does matter when people think about how the city prides itself, how it stands up against other cities, and those kinds of things are incalculable, but they are valuable.
If this doesn't happen and the Blazers go for whatever reason, how does this transpire? What's your view of losing the Blazers? How would that impact Portland and Oregon?
Well, I think it'd be incredibly disappointing. I think once they were gone, people would realize, you know, we made a mistake. We should have worked harder to keep them here. It makes us a city that we're in the same class as Boston and New York and Los Angeles.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you at this moment, knowing what we know, that this will get done and will keep the team?
I'm pretty confident that cooler heads will prevail and people will realize the value of having the Blazers here. And I know I'm going to try, if I can, to make people understand how important it is.
Cooler heads will prevail. Boyle, by the way, was initially approached by Dundon to join the new ownership group before they bought the team, something he declined because while Boyle does not love basketball, he does love Portland, and he made it clear to me he's willing to do what it takes to try to bring everyone closer to a deal. An extended interview including whether he thinks the city and county are asking for too much from the Blazers will be available shortly on KGW.com.
Boyle with that positive outlook. Okay, let's bring in Blair Best now because Blair, Multnomah County commissioners are set to decide tomorrow on whether to commit more than $100 million toward renovating Moda.
That's right. And today, one day before that vote, the union representing thousands of county employees is urging commissioners to reject the plan, arguing that money should go toward county services instead of a sports arena. And they are raising concerns about the timing of this potential investment, seen as at least 100 county workers, the union says, lost their jobs due to recent budget cuts. Are you arguing that if the county doesn't contribute to the arena, then those dollars could instead prevent layoffs or even restore some services?
There's different funding streams, and one of those funding streams could help prevent layoffs and could help fund services.
Supporters argue that the Moda Center is an economic asset that supports jobs, tourism, and tax revenue. Do you acknowledge those benefits?
I think that I'm not saying that those aren't benefits. What I'm saying is that's not the county's core service.
Okay, more of my interview with Union President Jackie Tate and some last-minute proposals coming from county commissioners ahead of tomorrow's vote. That's all coming up tonight at 6:30. David.
It's going to be a wild 24 hours. Thanks, Blair. Well, that plays out. The Blazers organization itself is going through more changes under Tom Dundon's ownership. Pardon me. The team is losing several longtime members of its broadcast staff, including play-by-play voice Kevin Calabro. The Oregonian reporting Calabro turned down a new contract offer he called, quote, subprime. The moves come after the new owner, Dundon, cut roughly 70 front office jobs earlier this year.
Yeah, so many outstanding questions at this point with arguably, as we've said so many times, a lot at stake here. And we'd like to know what you're wondering about when it comes to the future of Moda. You can text your questions to the number there on your screen, 503-226-5088, and we'll add it to our growing list as we work to get clarity and answers.